Hello, my name is Abomere Jakebe. I'll be talking about the strategies adopting DHIS2 for education, the next phase for non-health. I'm the system application analyst and I work with FHI 360 UK. Before I go on, I just want to say welcome to the DHIS2 Symposium, and I'll be talking about the DHIS2 for education initiative. I also want to appreciate FHI 360 for this opportunity to make this presentation. So before I go on, I'll just be talking about the steps or rather the overview of this whole presentation. And this will guide us through the entire process. So I'll be talking about the project summary, where I will explain an high-level description of this project, the framework, which talks about the objectives and the aims of this entire project and the strategic direction of the entire project, how we got to this point. So we'll talk about the analysis, decisions that were made because of the limitations at the point in time that made us decide to go through this entire process of implementing DHIS2 for education, the initiative. So the project implementation, again, I will drive more discussions around this area just to point out the steps or the approach that we took while implementing this project. Thank you once again, and I hope this will pass more information for further discussions. So this project, Tunoze Buzoma, forgive me if I didn't pronounce it well, for those that can pronounce it, it's a 5-year project implemented in Rwanda by USAID. And the project is a consortium by FHI 360, Save the Children, and Florida State University. So just before I dig down into the entire project aims and outcomes, and it's just important that I talk about the lead implementation organization, which is FHI 360, which is where I actually work, and also the platform in which I'm using to make this presentation. The beneficiary of this system, this whole implementation, is the children and teachers in public and government-aided pre-primary and lower primary schools for this activity that FHI is actually involved in. So the intervention is for the lower primary schools and also for system strengthening. So now the project objective. So just to talk about the aims and the expected outcomes of the entire project. And I'm talking about the strategic outcome. So what is the aim? High quality, inclusiveness, and also to meet best practice in teaching, learning of fundamental literacy skills. Now, this is a USAID-sponsored project that supports the Ministry of Education in Rwanda to ensure that the Rwanda literacy environment for all primary and lower primary schools and classrooms meets, like I said earlier, the high quality inclusiveness and the best practices expected for this literacy strategy. Then the expected outcomes is to ensure that more children meet the Rwanda literacy benchmarks. And I encourage that we go read about these benchmarks. I'm not going to talk about And that within this project, my focus is just going to be for the DHIS2 for education initiative. So I encourage that we'll read more on this project. And again, the positives from the projects can also be used for other projects, to drive other projects in the future. And also this project will serve as more like a base, because this is one of those initiatives that other countries can also borrow from. And also expected outcome is for the performance gaps and transformation of classrooms to reflect research-based instructions and assessment. So you see, this now we're talking about the children at one end, we're talking about the teachers at one end. So it's not just driven towards the children, it's also driven towards the teachers. So because everything now fuses them together. So the framework. So the preparatory school educational system is expected to be enhanced. Why? So that to develop, promote, and improve emergence, language, and literacy. Lower primary literacy classroom instructions expected to be improved. The school environment is expected to be improved for increased lower primary literacy outcomes. Then the educational system management is expected to be strengthened for improved literacy outcomes. So this is an entire strategy for the future of Rwanda. And this makes this project very, very, very essential, because it targets the education of the children and also empowers the teachers. And that is why at the beginning of this entire whole implementation, during the conceptual discussions and all that, from FHI 360's perspective, we as a team had already been looking at how to ensure that this project meets all the expected objectives right from the beginning. So we're talking about the tools at this point now. That's where I actually come in. So we're looking at the data collection points, a single source of truth, without having dispersed systems scattered all over. Excel sheets, CSVs, all scattered all over at different data points. So question, how do we harmonize everything? DHIS2 comes to mind. The timeliness of reporting, the timeliness of data collection, and all that, the timeliness of data cleanup, the timeliness of harmonizing. So this was thought through. This has been experienced, and that also informed the decision to have this whole software adopted. Then the consistency and data quality. So how many interferences do we have? What I mean interferences, human interferences do we have around the data points? Increases the amount of errors that could get into the systems. So how can we take this reduce these human interferences to improve the quality? So DHIS2 for education comes to mind. We try to borrow from what we've benefited from the health-related implementations, and we borrowed those experiences, and also we referred to the successes, and that's what informed us to look into the DHIS2 for education system. Then for the project reporting, presently, you're looking at what are the options in project reporting? How fast can we get these reports together? And the dashboards and all that. So the project needs in terms of the reports. DHIS2 was a fit, and that arrived in us looking at the limitations of these existing systems, and we talked about the benefits of the reports that are already embedded in DHIS and how quick it is to have that rolled out. So, talking about the context, teachers at this phase, project phase, so teachers needed to be trained, and those trainings needs to be tracked over a period of time, and those trainings needs to be reported on based on the project needs. So that informed this whole phase of project implementation. Now, what I just mentioned earlier means that teachers also, the attendance of teachers also needs to be tracked and taken and tracked. Then we also talk about reporting based on attributes, the disaggregation. So talking about the age, the sex, also ability to report based on location. So that is all captured within DHIS2 for education. And that's exactly the project that we just implemented with this summarizes the project objective of the implementation for the DHIS2 for education. So what is the whole conceptual data model? So we look at the where clause. Teachers needed to be trained, and these teachers will be trained in venues, in locations. Yeah. So that's the where clause within DHIS to tie us to the org unit structure. These particular locations also need to have the geo location. It's captured within the where clause, which is the org unit structure of DHIS2. So that was like a checkbox. The what, we have training, we have workshops, and we have meetings. These are the three categories of events that are possible to happen for the teachers and other stakeholders. But for each of these three I mentioned, they need to be able to be tracked over a period of time. Right? So the what clause, we implemented this using the program stages. So it's captured, that data model concept is captured within DHIS2 out of the box. Then the time of events. For each program stage, we have the reporting dates. So that presented us the opportunity to be able to capture the time for these data points or data collection activities within DHIS2. Then the attributes presents us the opportunity to capture the attributes of the participants and beneficiaries. So DHIS2 for education is not far away from the health related one. It was just a no-brainer to use DHIS2. Yes, it comes with its own. I will talk about the context that more discussions needs to be brought in, especially where I started having the discussions with the um, the male team members. So how was this project implemented? So at the initial phase, we we're not taking the fact that we're coming from what the health perspective, and we're having engagement with those that are not in this are not in this area, which means that a lot of this project team members had not used DHIS2 before. So we needed to go through that process of sitting down as a team and making it very inclusive. So the data collection process, we had to go through it together. And this was very important for the change management process. So we had to go through this process together in terms of explaining the constraints. So we're talking about the where clause, the what clause. So in short, talking about the metadata. So we had these whole discussions around that over and over again to gain buying into the system. So the requirement gathering phase had to do with looking at the tools, the templates presently that was used in collecting data, getting all the data points, sitting down as a team with the male team of this project, and also making them being involved in the process. So because the idea about it was we don't want to have a system where we implement a system and we remain in the project. We just want to provide post-implementation support while they use the system. So it was very important at this phase that at the beginning of the project, we started to take them along, right? So like I mentioned there, just to gain more project management approvals, because that will obviously boosted their confidence. So we had the weekly meetings, which we had to discuss most of the deliverables, the milestones that were met, and all that. And yeah, we had. I'm not going to go into details. We had some of the more program um, um, risk, put it that way, but we were able to maneuver through a lot of them. The deployments um, went through a process whereby a particular male team member was dedicated. No, two male team members were dedicated to support the implementation, like I said earlier. So it was more like an implementation stroke training process for them, which was very, very successful. And um, they've turned to evangelists now of the system. So it was very important at that stage, especially the fact where this is a new initiative. So we need more people to be able to to drive the discussions in the community. So data migration, because this project had already started. So that it was very important at this phase again, because at the end of the day, we needed to bring bring all previous data into DHIS2. So that is why again it was very important to involve the team at this point. You see, so we're in terms of consolidating all the data that they had, and preparing it for data imports and all this entire process, the scripts used and all that, writing the scripts that were used, so all this process and all that, and the, the challenges we could all empathize in them together. So this of experience, it doesn't take us away from the usual DHIS2 for Health initiative, which is a very good point, the good benefits of the entire DHIS2 ecosystem, because it wasn't it wasn't a learning curve, if I put it that way. Yeah, it's still within the same context, which is very, very good for us that have been using the system for a while, because it opened up our minds as a team to say, well, we can use this for anything we can think about. The whole concept about DHIS2 for health, DHIS2 for non-health, I think it just depends on the way we look at it. But at the end of the day, my experience and the experience of the team was nothing spectacular. The old terminologies were the only thing that changed. We're used to calling the indicators for the health related indicators, but now we're calling all new indicators entirely. But the most important thing is all the objectives were met. So presently, the project went through the training. I came back from Rwanda, went to the training, trained the MEL team, the project, the staff, and it's very successful. The project is now at the point of post-implementation support. Yeah, they're still getting their hands around the change processes. And when I mean change processes, I'm talking about the point where you're embracing a new tool. But so far, so good. It has proven to do well. So now, what is unique about this whole project? Like I said, nothing spectacular, just the concept. The concept initially was the project for health, but now it's now for education. So it has its own the uniqueness is not too different. But the only there's a particular need that I will talk about, a particular need that it's very important. I raised this in the community, and unfortunately, it's not available out of the box. That alone will drive this whole DHIS2 for education to a new level, and I hope that the project team embraces that. So for the preliminary results now, data collection improvements. We're talking about different CSV data points and all that. Now we now have a single source of truth for data collection, and which is very good. Confidence boost, apart from the fact that the team needed to learn a new tool, which was very, very good. Learning a new tool entirely and seeing that most of the limitations using the standalone CSVs was addressed using DHIS2 was very encouraging. And because this entire project is a follow-on from a previous one, so they had a lot of those standalone challenges, and now this is proven to be this activity is proven to be a very good improvement. So we are riding on that. So it's possible not to trace teachers because all the teachers are now within a particular system, no more individual CSVs, not from a reference from one system. So it's possible to track teachers training presently now. Like I mentioned, using the program stages. We set them as repeatable. The training is repeatable program stage, the meeting is repeatable program stage, the workshop, repeatable program stage. So we captured at them at those kind of data points. But one thing that we're working on now is the change process. Now the project started earlier. We brought in system data into migrated data into DHIS2. However, that introduces me to the constraints and considerations. And this is what I've been talking about. Something very key is the attendance management. This is the way I've seen the implementations is very individually based, and that's how DHIS has been designed. However, there's a need to be able to have from a single interface. For example, 200 teachers that attend one event to be able to mark an attendance from a single interface, maybe using a checkbox, using whatever way, but from a single interface. It means now that you will need to go into each record to make a decision. And that is very time consuming. That presents one of the challenges that the project team expressed. Yes, I went to the community and I know what to do. I've been in the system. I know that you can use CSV or use the API to do the to solve that issue. But again, that takes me to a third-party tool or third-party approach. Making it, that's why I said, for example, making the system as front end as possible, without having the API and the CSV. For this use case, for this scenario, this is a standout for DHIS2 for education and DHIS2 for health. This is a standard. If a major standard that needs to be addressed, and if this is addressed, this will drive the adoption of DHIS2 for education. For example, the present state of CSV, the future state of CSV for the context of this project, the initial plan was to ensure that CSV is entirely eliminated. This scenario also presents it that we will have to sustain CSV to meet this scenario, because CSV presents for the non-technical users, presents a better interface to be able to make a decision for bulk teachers. Now, why is this? Why am I talking about bulk all the time? Because this is the scenario on ground. We have events where trainings happen at different locations simultaneously, and as high as maybe even more teachers. I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate on the amount of trainings the amount of teachers that can happen, that can be involved in the training, but it's a lot. And this is one of the concerns that was raised during the training. Sorry, I need to adjust the video. All right. Then the knowledge of DHIS2 for education, again, is something that needs to be going out. We need to be more talking about it more. The community is quite quiet, not really. So we need to talk about this more a lot. I'm talking about this in the capacity of FHI 360. We've started pushing this out. This, for example, one of the projects. But again, it's also a consideration. The knowledge of DHIS2 for education is something that we have. It's not as as popular as for else, which is understandable. But for us to be able to push this, the attendance management system needs to be discussed. We need to drive that. I'm available, FHI is available to have these discussions. Internally, we started reviewing how we can have this implemented as an application. So how are we going to rate the success of this project? Well, for the quarterly activity performance reports that has gone out earlier before we deploy DHIS2, we're going to be waiting for the next one. How fast or possible that for the program indicators, we've identified all of them. We'll be able to develop them within DHIS2, which is a very good plus. For the visuals, as much as we could deduce from the quarterly report, we can do them. It's possible within DHIS. So it's promising. It's showing a lot of good reviews already. The usability of the system is okay. The training was successful. All the users could work on it, work with the system. Yeah. So the usability and the adoption just drives in with the limitation that was presented, like I mentioned earlier, the attendance management, and that one of the core things that the project team is involved will be using with DHIS2. So in conclusion, generally speaking, I would say DHIS2 for education has met all the punchlines for this project that has been implemented. Just that even the attendance management is also met it. The only thing is the process, the approach to it that was done. So it's a very good initiative. A lot of promise has been shown, with this system. That's a fact, because it means that any other implementation can just be adopted with DHIS2. Any other, what I mean, any other, I'm referring to the context. We're talking about education now. It could be agriculture. It could be. It's wonderful in the context of that, and more conversations actually needs to be made in the area of the features that needs to be developed. I say that we should have more of like a forum where our experiences, just like the way I went to the community to say, okay, attendance management, we need it. We need attendance management. I think if we have a forum where we drive these particular features that are not health related, because I know the health related ones are all out there, but the ones that are not health related, I think it will go a long way, especially when we have a roadmap that keeps us glued to the versions that are to come. So I will say that for more information, we have the project being implemented now. For more information, on the screen, the Chief of Party, Dr. Vincent Mugisha is our project lead in Rwanda. The email address is there. You can reach out to him for more information. And thank you so much. And do have a wonderful symposium. Bye.